Alright, eater. He melts pretty quickly. Oh, almost the no phase. There we go. You know, if I would have signal prayed him, probably would have been a no phase. Muscle memory. Alright, let's run this T17 on our AWAR build. This is just monster damage. Attack speed, cast speed. Accuracy rating hurts us a little bit, but not a big deal. Buffs expire is a little annoying for Bone Offering, but all in all, not a bad T17. We're running this with our clear setup, which is going to be Unleash and Awaken Chain on our supports. And so for all of the mapping itself here, we're just going to have better clear. And then for the boss, we can swap over to our support gems for bossing. Realistically, you don't have to swap over to support gems specifically for bossing unless it's like a Giga Tanky boss or a Pinnacle boss. But it does make things go a little bit quicker. We'll loot all this later. For now, let's just go find the boss. As you can see, clear is solid. I mean, all you do is zoom around and they kill everything. Chain is such a powerful clear tool. Pierce and LMP are both also good options, but the auto-targeting of Chain solves a lot of the issues with not having auto-targeting. And so we're at the boss. You can swap out Chain and Unleash for Predator, and then go in there. Make sure that you do drop your Arcanist brands. Make sure that you drop your arms. Make sure you select them as your target. And then watch your guys do work. Like, they pretty much melt everything. He died in, I don't know, 2 seconds, 3 seconds. Very solid build for single target. Very solid build for clear. The swap is probably not necessary at this level of gear, but I mean, it just guarantees a smoother experience. And so spend 2 seconds swapping gems, or spend 2 seconds log killing the boss. Either one of those works. Let's go take a look at the POB. For the POB, I have this set up in a day 2 in-game character setup, which is what you saw. A low budget and a mid budget. We'll go over the low budget and the mid budget, as those are the important ones for y'all to follow. The day 2 is just so you can see where I am with the character. Where I am with the character is not necessarily the right place to be. It's just where I was to fit the budget. To give you a comparison, the day 2 in-game character here has about 50 divs spent on him. Now, that was 50 divs spent 2 days ago. It's different than 50 div today. Don't expect the same prices on everything. Some of it's gone up, some of it's gone down, some of it's gone sideways. But for low budget first, you're going to want a United and Dream Cutlass. These are dirt cheap, like 5, 10 chaos. If you want to buy a Foulborn one with 30% quality first, you're welcome to. They're not expensive, but just a United and Dream Cutlass is necessary for Envy and Poison. Next, you're going to want a Foulborn Surrender. This is going to give you energy shield when you block. This is a tremendous layer of recovery for us that goes very well with Leech and gives us duplicate recovery with both Life Leech and energy shield recovery when we're fighting. So you are going to want one of these. Now, these are currently cheap. They could be expensive tomorrow or next week. If you cannot afford a Foulborn Surrender, then just get an Aegis. Aegises were 40 chaos-ish today. They're probably going to continue to go down as the Foulborn Surrender has been added to the game and gives a secondary option for ES recovery on block. For our body armor, we're going to want a Covenant Spider Silk Robe, get a 5-link or a 6-link. You want a Jinx Juju for your amulet, just get one with good chaos res. You want a Darkness Enthroned, get one with the highest increased effective socketed jewels that you can fit on your character. For our rare items, you're going to want a helmet with +2 level of all minion skill gems, life, and resistances. For your hands, you're going to want life, resistances, and an open prefix for crafting minions deal increased damage. For boots, you're going to want to just pick up a pair of corrupted boots that have +2 level of socketed minion gems that have life resistance as in move speed. These are always cheap, and the corrupted ones are going to be very, very easily accessible. For your rings, you just want to get rings with life resistances, minion damage, minion attack speed, whatever you can on them. There's a ton of these available. Really good ones are expensive. Mediocre ones are relatively cheap. And then for our jewels, we're just looking for jewels that have life, minion attack or cast speed, or increased damage if a minion has been summoned recently, and either chaos damage or physical damage. So that's what you're going to be looking at for all of these ghastly eye jewels. These are just filler items to increase the damage your character does on a low budget for your character. So nothing complicated there. Flasks, Jade Flask, Quicksilver Flask, Basalt Flask, Granite Flask, and a Life Flask are the ones that I would recommend that you run. If you don't want to run the Basalt Flask, you can run an Amethyst Flask instead, because Chaos Res is a little sketchy for us in all budgets on the gear until you get to a high budget version of the build. And so that is our equipment on the low budget version. On the mid budget version, you're just looking for better versions of what was in the low budget. It's not complicated. Want a Foulborn United Dream with 30% quality of all minion skill gems. This increases your block chance via Bone Offering and increases the number of animated weapons you can have out by 3. So this is very, very, very strong. You want a better Foulborn Surrender with more energy shield when you block. You want a helmet that has better stats on it. You want a Covenant shield that is a Covenant Spider Silk Robe that has 6 sockets on it linked. You want gloves that have better stats on them. You want boots that have better stats on them if you can. You want a ring that has, again, better stats on it, ideally with an open suffix, so you can craft on minimum endurance charges. Your Jinx, Juju is the same. The best Darkness and Throne you can afford. You are going to want to have 2 poison jewels, which are a little pricey. Ideally, life plus chance to poison plus either cast or physical damage on them. And then you're going to want to get a minion jewel that you can craft on so that you can start getting your big cluster jewel set up. Crafting on these is fairly straightforward for like just the cheap crafting. You're going to grab a 12 passive eye level 84 cluster jewel, which are typically around a div. And then you're going to spam Harvest Reforge Caster, which will give you a very high chance of getting increased attack and cast speed. And the goal here is get the highest increased attack and cast speed with the highest increased effect and the highest life. But there are breakpoints here. If the attack and cast speed has to be 3%, and the increased effect has to be 35% for you to see 4% increased attack and cast speed. And so if you have 35% increased effect, but you only have 2% increased attack and cast speed, it's going to be significantly weaker than if you had 3. For life, you just want the most life you can get on here. And if you can, get some Ellie Res or some Chaos Res or some Dex on here, because those are all attributes that we kind of struggle with on suffixes on gear. And so getting max life plus a resistance or a Dex mod plus increased attack and cast speed and increased effect are all critical. This cluster jewel is a tremendous amount of power for us. This is 27% of our DPS in this cluster jewel. And so make sure that you do what you can to get the best cluster jewel you can afford. There are always some of these for sale, but they are time consuming and costly to craft well. And so they are going to be a little bit pricey to find very, very good cluster jewels. But this is ultimately what you're going for in your cluster jewel setup. And finally, you want to get an Aminamu's Gaze. They were going down in price last time I checked, but typically mid-league, these are somewhere around 6 div a piece. And this is a tremendous boost to your damage. Again, this one jewel accounts for 15% of your total damage. So very, very important that you get one of these. The smaller jewels are only about 3 or 4% of them, but you do need a lot of them to power your Aminamu's Gaze here. And so that's how we're going to finish out with the mid-budget. Again, my gear will be listed in here so you can see what I actually have in the game. Some of this is not the right gear, but it's just the best we could afford at the time. As far as skills go, the skills between low budget and mid budget are the same, but you want to get quality where you can. But we're going to be running Period of Elements, Flesh and Stone for defensive auras, Flame Dash for mobility, Whirling Blades for mobility, Summon Stone Golem as Safeguarding for defenses with Feeding Frenzy to guarantee good uptime on Feeding Frenzy, Animate weapon of ranged arms with unbound elements. Unleash minion damage, vicious projectiles, void manipulation chain is the options here. And what you'll do is for single target, you'll run void manipulation. And for multi-target, you'll run chain. And then while you're mapping, you'll probably run unleash for easier maintenance of your animated weapons. And to give you an idea of the playstyle here, you're going to move, hit ethereal knives, summon a set of animated weapons, and then move. While you're hitting ethereal knives and summoning a set of animated weapons, all of your animated weapons will be killing everything. This will constantly refresh the duration on a set of animated weapons, making sure that all of their durations are desynced so they don't all fall at the same time, and making sure that you have good uptime on them. Now, if you get a 6-link instead of a 5-link, you can add back in minion damage. And then if you are on a 6-link and you need better single target, you can swap out Unleash for Predator for the boss. And so you'll have a set of jewels that you'll use based on the situation that you need them. Or if you just want to be lazy like me, just run Unleash and Chain, and right there, and it's still 20 million DPS. So we just run animated weapons, unbound elements, unleash, minion damage, vicious proj, and chain. So that would be your 6-link for lazy life and not caring about anything. But again, if you drop chain and you drop unleash and you pick up void manipulation and predator, then we double our damage. It's a tremendous difference in the amount of damage you do with the proper links on your gear for whatever situation that you're in. So make the decision that affects the playstyle that you want. Animate Guardian, we're going to run with Ray, Spectre, Meat Shield, and Minion Life. Our Animated Guardian, traditional Animated Guardian gear here. Cheap stuff would be Leer Cast, Dying Breath Staff, Blood Bond Armor, Asenath Touch Gloves for Temp Chains, and Windscreen Boots for an additional curse. Raised Spectres, you can see that what we have in the list here. And for Raised Spectres, we are running Perfect Forest Warrior, Guardian Turtle, Hulking Miscreation, and Carnage Chieftain. Now, you're not going to be able to run the Perfect Forest Warrior. Sorry, you're not going to be able to run the Perfect Guardian Turtle in the low and mid budget. And so in configuration, we have the attributes that are associated with the build that you're in. So if we look at the low budget build, we are running just the Hulking Miscreation, Carnage Chieftain, and Perfect Forest Warrior because they're cheap. And the Perfect Guardian Turtle is expensive and also requires that you have the appropriate levels of minion skills on your boots to have 4 Spectres out. Now, an alternative Spectre, if you do not want or cannot afford the Perfect Guardian Turtle, but you do have 4 Spectres available. So if 4 Spectres available, Spectral Leader is the best choice. It's got 80% uptime on 20% action speed, which is about the net same gain as you get from Frenzy Charges from Carnage Chieftain, but is nice quality of life for movement, unleash, summoning, and things like that. And so that would be a good 4th option if you don't have the currency for a Perfect Guardian Turtle. Now, for the rest of our skills here, we are running Bone Offering, bound with Despair, Desecrate, and Arcanist Brand. I am distinctly aware if your minions are instantly killing everything in the map, you're never going to trigger your Bone Offering. If your minions are killing everything instantly in the map, you probably don't need Bone Offering. It's okay. This is only going to be up in like deli maps or against very, very tanky rares or bosses, things like that. If you don't like that, you can pull Arcanist Brand and you can self-cast all 3 of these. I don't care. That's a personal choice. Automation for Convocation and Steelskin. The Convocation automation isn't necessary. Socket pressure is high on the build, and so this is optional. But it's just good quality of life, and the minions heal much more rapidly, and they're always around you for auras. It's very good, but I get it. Socket pressure is high. You may want some other options in there. You do have choices there. We're on Steelskin because it just happens to be the best guard skill that we have available to us. It also helps to deal with bleeds, which is very nice. And then Ethereal Knives of Lingering Blades is what we use to trigger the Lingering Blades on the ground so that we can summon all of our animated weapons. As for our mid-budget, this is all exactly the same. No changes in the skills here. You're going to want 20 quality here. You're going to want 20 quality here, which is a little bit more expensive. But the skills themselves are roughly the same between the two. Now, in my budget, I'm running Malevolence instead of Purity of Elements, and I'm running Tempest Shield instead of Flesh and Stone. This is a personal choice. Purity of Elements, Flesh and Stone is better defensively. Malevolence and Tempest Shield is better offensively. Whatever you prefer, you go ahead and do. But those are options there. Or our passive trees. Passive tree is like every minion build ever in existence. We have minion stuff here, we're going to take it. We have minion stuff here, we're going to take it. We have minion and minion and minion and minion. Take all the minion stuff. We do have strength and dex a lot on the tree here in the low budget build because it is challenging to get those attributes set up for your character. We take life almost everywhere we have life access to us because that is very important to us. We are running an Eldritch Battery, mind over matter interaction here. This is an interesting interaction. So Eldritch Battery makes your energy shield stop protecting your life and protects your mana. Mind over matter makes energy shield, makes mana take damage instead of life, but the mana is protected by energy shield. So you get a nice split of damage between your life and your ES, and then we use dual recovery between ES on block and life leech to help recover from that. So phenomenal defensive layer. Make sure you utilize it. But if you have this one, you also need this one. If you have this one, you also need this one. They go together. So don't spec into mind over matter and then come and be like, I can't ever summon my weapons because I don't have any mana. Stop using mind over matter if you don't have Eldritch Battery. They are very important. Other things that are important on the tree, enough spell block so that you're capped as much attack block as you can get. Those are important things. You are going to need 120% increased effective offerings here. Divine Shield is an absolutely ridiculously strong recovery for the energy shield as you're stopping damage with your armor as physical damage reduction. So that is very important. And then obviously grab every jewel socket everywhere you can. Jewels are very good for minion builds. For our mid-budget tree, it's almost the same. We just go ahead and add in a cluster jewel here and move a few points here and there around from min-maxing point of view based on how many passive points you have available to you. So tree is fairly straightforward. You don't have to do a lot of respecs. There's not a lot of changes necessary. And then, of course, this one is mine in-game with a little bit more focus on life because I don't like dying and I don't like dodging stuff. So I just like to face tank it. Now, if you have your stats allocated well, you can pull out of all of these strength and dex jewels or strength and dex passives on the tree. You'll see on mine, I've got ghastly eye jewels with attributes and dex on them to help with that, especially in my darkness enthroned. This is just a personal choice for my quality of life and getting more defenses on the tree and not having to spec into stats over here at a little bit of a loss in damage. Now, I'm also going to post a few links below that are not my links. I will caveat this. This is not my build. I did not come up with this build. And I guess while we're on that subject, no streamer really comes up with a build. Like everyone else has already made it first, so no one owns anything. But I'm going to post a few other links to 2 players that run this build and have different or similar takes on it so that you have all the information that you need available to you so that you can take a look at how everything works. And so that will definitely be a good option for you to look at. So we'll have my POB listed below. And then we'll have 2 other links available for POBs so you can see those builds as well and decide which one is the best one for you to follow. This one is focused on performance on budget. And that is the high points on all of my builds. I want the most defenses and the most damage with the least crafting stress and the least budget necessary. Now, I want to talk a few things about what I did on my character here as far as how I got this gear. So, Foulborn United and Dream was a purchase. Foulborn the Surrender was a purchase. Pretty straightforward. They're not expensive. This helmet I did not craft. I just bought this helmet. But you can craft these helmets. I would recommend that you go to Gazzy's websites. He has information on how to craft minion helmets and very good detailed guides on it. Covenant, again, is just a purchase. These gloves are pretty straightforward. You buy elemental resist fractured gloves, elemental resist essences until you get what you want. Down here, we have boots that are socketed minion corruption. There's no point in trying to craft these. Just look for good ones for purchase. Our Jinx Juju, again, is a straight craft. Get high chaos res if you can. These rings are fairly easy to craft if you just get a fractured minion damage. And then you're just going to harvest reroll caster. That'll give you a high chance at increased attack and cast speed until you get other good mods on it. Nothing complex there. Darkness Enthroned is a purchase. These Ghastly Eye Jewels are crafted the exact same way as the rings are. You're going to buy Fractured Life, reroll. Actually, these I bought Fractured Life and I Aberrant Fossiled them. Aberrant Fossils give you more chaos, a higher chance at chaos rolls. We want poison and additional chaos damage as those rolls. You can also harvest roll them, but harvest increases the chance for one chaos roll. And we really want both of these. We want poison and chaos damage. So both of those were fairly cheap and easy to craft. These ones down here, same thing on this one. Same thing on this one. This one was a just pre-fracture buy, reroll caster on the bench, and I got stuck with this, which is a great jewel. Oh no, actually, I'm sorry. This one I just straight bought. This one was just a purchase. This one was a reroll Fizz, and this one was a reroll Chaos when I was trying to get Poison. And so Harvest Reforge Fizz and Harvest Reforge Chaos, different ways to craft on these Ghastly Eye Jewels. Or obviously you can always buy these. Now we're going to talk about my graft choices here. I didn't include grafts in the low budget or the mid budget because the grafts are not that powerful. They're more utility. And there is not a definite decision on this is the best, but this is what I've done. I went with Wreathed in Light. The extra lightning damage that the weapons do is probably significant, but more significant is the fact that it gives them lucky damage if they're standing in it. So I'll drop Wreathed in Light, and then I'll go stand on it, wait for Convocation to pull them on top of the Wreathed in Light, and they do a ton more damage. Also, Wreathed in Light has a prefix with 14% minion attack and cast speed, which is very, very strong. For my second one, I went with Innervating Grasp. Innervating Grasp does a sap, which reduces the damage dealt to us, which is very, very nice. It has a huge AoE, so it hits like everything on the screen. You just have to be remotely near the boss to trigger it. And then again, it has a prefix with increased attack and cast speed for minions, which is very good. So these are the ones I went with, but your opinions could vary on this. There is a minion attack damage one that could be a little bit better, a little bit worse, depending on where all the rest of your gear is. There's one where you can summon additional minions. They do a brittle. Brittle is crit. Crit is more damage. And so there's a lot of different options that you have for the grafts. I would go with pick the one that fits your life the best. I do want to point out on the grafts, make sure you get one that is going to increase the womb gifts that you want to see dropping on the ground. They seem to have a significant impact on what you see drop on the ground. And so the grafts are definitely a utility slot for you, so you can do what you want with. Now, if you have any questions over any of this, drop a comment down below or come by Twitch. I am happy to answer them. I do enjoy doing one-on-ones with people, making sure that they understand how their character works and how they can improve on it. And so come by, ask questions, and thank you very much for watching. Y'all have a wonderful day. Peace.